Thank you so much for stopping by my channel, 521 Investment Wealth Builder. On today's video, we're going to continue talking about how to avoid financial distractions. And believe me, on this wealth journey, we will all encounter financial distraction. In today's video is going to be about the financial distraction called a Ponzi scheme. Now, I've been hearing a lot about Ponzi schemes over the year, and maybe you have too. So, what is a Ponzi scheme? How did it get started? And why does the Ponzi scheme still exist today? Now, Ponzi scheme is named after a person named Charles Ponzi, who in the 1920s promised a 50% or more return to investors in the international meal coupons. What Ponzi would do was use funds from new investors to pay the initial investors, and always would promise a large profit at little or no risk. Now, the Ponzi scheme requires a constant flow of new money to survive. If the money stops flowing, guess what? Someone is going to be in big trouble. Now, I got this question for you. Have you ever felt like you were missing out on a golden opportunity to make money? I know I have many times on my wealth building journey. By watching TV, listening to the radio, or being in some store and listening to somebody talk, and say, man, there's a golden opportunity to make XYZ, whatever amount of money in this company. There's an opportunity. There's opportunity. And you hear that a lot. There's opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. But the question is, have you ever felt that way, that you were really missing out on something? A golden opportunity that you can benefit from. Now, as a trader and an investor that I am, I have to deal with FOMO, and that's FOMO, or fear of missing out on a trade as an investor. I have to deal with that, and that's FOMO. That's fear of missing out as a trader or an investor. I have to deal with that. Now, as I said before, who likes missing opportunities? Now, FOMO in investing, and I'm applying this to me, is my anxiety. Restless, tense, may sweat, or I have rapid heartbeat because I feel like I'm missing out on something that's going to really help me. I'm passing out on some profitable investment. And that's what I have experienced as a trader and an investor. And that may happen to you. When you hear something and you say, man, I'm missing out on something, you might feel the anxiety. You might get restless. You might feel tension, that you're missing out on some golden opportunity. Now, the thing about a Ponzi scheme is when it becomes too hard to recruit new investors, or a large number of the investors that's in the Ponzi scheme want to cash out, the scheme tends to collapse. Now, so in a Ponzi scheme, there's always a word you're going to hear, and it may be disguised, is recruit. Now, being an Army veteran, the way I got in the Army, there was a recruiter who talked to me and promised me XYZ if I would join. That recruiter would talk to me and offer me different opportunities to join the military. And that recruiter had information, and he would explain that information to me, but I had to make a decision if I was going to join the military and take on that assignment or military occupational skill or job title that he was giving out. I had to make that decision on whether I wanted that job or I wanted another job. But the point I'm making here is he was a recruiter. So in the Ponzi scheme, there's always going to be a constant recruit pitch. You got to recruit, you got to recruit, you got to recruit, you got to bring in new people. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because that's what I experienced joining the military. But one of the things you're going to always hear in the Ponzi scheme to be aware of is recruiting, and you may hear there is little risk to make big money. Now, here are some Ponzi scheme red flags or warning signs that you and I must be on the lookout for. Number one, high returns with little or no risk. Now, guess what? Every investment carries some degree of risk. Now, risk is defined in financial terms as the chance that an outcome or investment actually gained will differ from an expected outcome on return. In other words, whatever I invest, my initial investment, I'm not 100% guaranteed that I'm going to get that reward or that outcome of my investment, because there is some risk involved. But the Ponzi scheme to be aware of is a high return with little or no risk, or you might hear the word is a guaranteed investment. Even though somebody say an investment is guaranteed, but I promise you, there always will be a degree of risk. If an investment yields higher returns, there is often going to be more risk. In other words, the more risk I take, the higher the outcome. When I take less risk, I get less of an outcome. So, little risk, little outcome. High risk, higher outcome. But there's always a chance that I might lose everything, because, again, there is risk involved. So be aware, be conscious. When someone is always promising a high return, guaranteed, with no risk, you should start to think, or you should start to investigate, or you should ask questions. Number two, overly consistent returns. Investment values tend to go up or down, or what that's called in the financial market fluctuate. And when some fluctuating, it is talking about supply and demand and other factors. Now, if an investment continues to generate regular positive returns, regardless of overall market condition, you and I should always do due diligence. Other words, if some investment someone is trying to pitch to me and they tell me that it's always going to be positive returns, but if that investment is connected to something financial, and I'm going to use for example the stock market, and I'm watching the stock market and it goes up and down all the time, and many times it goes sideways. So if someone is pitching a investment to me and they guarantee that it's going to always go up, I should always do due diligence. Always do due diligence. Always ask questions. So be aware of when someone is pitching something, an investment to you or me, and they're always saying there's a consistent return because financial markets always go up, they come down, they go sideways, they go down, they go up, and they go sideways. Now, number three, unregistered investment. Now, a Ponzi scheme normally involves investments that have not been registered with financial regulators. I say that again. A Ponzi scheme normally involves investments that have not been registered with financial regulators. Somebody might say, what do you mean by that? Now, the principal regulator of the stock market is the SEC, or Security and Exchange Commission. Now, the purpose of the SEC is to protect investors, maintain fair and orderly function of the security markets. So that's the primary purpose of the SEC. That's what it's supposed to be doing. Protect investors, maintain fair and orderly function of the security markets. And there is another agency called FINRA, and that's FINRA, and that is the Financial Industry Regulator Authority, where you and I can, guess what, ask and check to see if someone is licensed to sell an investment. So I must ask and check. When someone is pitching an investment to me, number one, ask that person, is this registered with the SEC? And if they don't provide an answer, just say, okay, I'm interested in what you're pitching, but let me find out if it's registered. I'm interested, but I need to find out if it's registered. So you and I have the ability to check to see whatever they are pitching is registered in FINRA. So we can ask and check. Now it's good to ask and check. Now, a lot of time when you ask and you haven't even checked, people might get defensive. But it's your investment. It's your money. And they should provide that information. And if they say they are registered, you can go in FINRA, FINRA, and you can check and verify that they're registered. But what's wrong with asking and checking to see if somebody licensed? Number 4, secretive or complex strategies. Investments that cannot be understood or no complete information can be found or obtained. If someone tells you they have an investment that the current Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, do not know anything about, you might want to think twice. The point I'm making here, if it's secretive, other words, you hear them say, I can't talk about it. Or it's some complex strategy. I can't talk about it. It's secret. Or they give you a strategy, and the strategy is if it's Greek and you don't have a clue. So you may want to think twice about it. Number 5, paperwork issues and difficult receiving payments. Other words, account statement errors and difficulty receiving payments and cashing out. So, if you already joined something and you're having issues with paperwork and you're requesting to receive some money and it just seems like you can't get anything and you want to cash out, you may need to do more due diligence. I say that again. You may want to do more due diligence because, as I said before, the Ponzi scheme started back in the 1920s. And even though Charles Ponzi was credited of having started this, through my research, he wasn't the first one. But his name is still going strong today. But those are red flags that you and I must be aware of. We have to do due diligence. We have to check and see if some investment is actually registered with the SEC and FINRA. We have to have the right mentality. We got to ask questions. We got to check. And when, again, and I say this again, if someone get defensive about you asking questions, you may want to think twice. I'm not telling you not to make an investment. That's your choice. But I'm saying, as I said in the last video, the more I empower myself, the more you empower yourself, the more better off we're going to be. The more you and I know, the more you and I ask questions, we won't get scammed. I said that on the last video. Or our percentage-wise of getting scammed is going to go down. But when we won't ask questions, we just take it for face value of what that person is telling us. And it could be a family member. It could be somebody from some infinity group. But you got to ask questions. You got to ask questions. Remember, the Ponzi scheme has been around a long time. And it's still taking money from people. And a lot of times, what I hear is I didn't know it. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Now you know you got to empower yourself. I got to empower myself, and I got to ask questions. That's what I'm striving to put out now. I must ask questions. Now, as always, I give a spiritual principle. And here is this spiritual principle as it relates to Ponzi schemes. In Proverbs, the 13th chapter, verse 11, it says, wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappear. I say that again. In Proverbs 13th chapter, verse 11, it says, wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappear. Wealth from hard work grows over time. Now, hard work, and I'm not saying going out and working hard all your life. Who want to do that? Who want to work hard 30, 40, 50 years? Who want to do that? That's not what this scripture is talking about. It's saying hard work is money that works hard for you and I, not so much you and I working all our lives for it. So, wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappear. Other words, it's called a Ponzi scheme collapse. Because normally, the Ponzi scheme, the last one to come in, if it collapses, they're normally the ones who never get their money back. Now, the people at the top, they may be okay. But the ones that come in last, they normally feel the whole weight of that scheme on them. And I mean anxiety, burnout, stress, because all the weight of the Ponzi scheme is on them. They're always going to hear, you need to recruit, you need to do this, you need to recruit, you need to recruit, you need to recruit. But you can only recruit so many people. And eventually, the Ponzi scheme, it may take years. And we know about this person who was involved in a Ponzi scheme for many, many years. But eventually, the Ponzi scheme collapsed. People got burnt. People lost big bucks. You and I must not work hard all our life for money, but have money work hard for us. Wealth should grow and multiply. But it's going to be hard for wealth to grow and multiply if I'm not aware of Ponzi scheme, because remember, on this journey, we are all going to face distractions. And I'm talking about, in these videos, financial distractions. They are going to come. They will come. Please subscribe, share, give a thumbs up. Until we meet again, peace.